Over the past couple of days, we've seen sort of the inquiry seem to shift. The focus, in some ways, seems to have shifted. The areas the police are looking at has changed. How has that been for you?
I think it's an encouraging sign that that they're looking at all possibilities and being very thorough, and it's an excellent example of collaboration between both the British and the Portuguese police working together, ultimately to try and solve the case of Madeleine and what's happened to her.
Now, yesterday you met the Portuguese police, didn't you? There is an awful lot of information in the local media that seems to talk about the quite detailed bits of the inquiry. Are you happy with the flow of information that you're getting from the Portuguese police?
Yeah, I mean, we've got an excellent relationship with the Portuguese police, and we meet frequently, and the flow of information's been great. Actually, it's been very reassuring.
They very much know that we like frank information, and it's much easier for us to deal with when we do that. And we were well aware that these developments were going to happen. We were informed in advance. So, but naturally, this length of time, we're desperate to find Madeleine. That's a key thing.
Did you, for example, know then this discovery of what's thought to be blood in the apartment? Were you told of that?
Can't comment on any specifics in forensics, and we wouldn't do that. We would never, ever jeopardise the investigation. And I think it's critical for people to realise that we do know some information, but one, we're not allowed to tell it, and two, we would never ever put anything into the public domain that might put the investigation of Madeleine at risk.
And what about some of the broader points then in this investigation that are being released to the media, or certainly being reported by the media? The idea that part of this inquiry is now shifting from a possible abduction to an investigation that might involve death or murder. How has that been for you? Were you aware of those sorts of shifts?
We're not naive, but on numerous occasions the Portuguese police have assured us that they were looking for Madeleine alive and not Madeleine being murdered. And I don't know of any information that's changed that. Of course, the information and the way the investigation's going is about thoroughness and making sure that everyone is as confident as possible that that is the case. Kate and I strongly believe that Madeleine was alive when she was taken from the apartment. Obviously, what we don't know is what happened to her afterwards, who's taken her and what her motive is, and we're desperate to find that out.
And as Gerry's just said there, even last week when we met with the police, they said we are looking for a living child, and they've said that a lot, so...
Yeah.
Now, the nature of these searches have actually involved yourself. Your car, I believe, is actually still being looked at by detectives. How has that been?
Well, of course, it's difficult, but we expect the same thoroughness and to be treated the same way as anyone else who has been in and around this, and we wouldn't expect it any other way. The same high levels will be applied to us as will be applied to anyone else, and that's only right and proper. And of course, we are more than happy to cooperate with the police, and we have done at every opportunity from the minute we discovered Madeleine missing and the police were called very early on. We alerted them almost immediately, and we will work with them and continue to work with them to try and get the breakthrough which we hope and pray for every single day, that today will be the day that Madeleine will be found.
That's an interview with the family of Madeleine McCann. Of course, Gerry and Kate come to know those two faces very well indeed, haven't we, over the last 100 days or so. They refuse to comment on specifics in the case, but you can see from the reaction that, Kate, it really is just an incredibly difficult time for both of them as that 100-day mark does hover around. We're just, I think, on the 96th day now since she disappeared in the apartment. Let's speak now to Mark Williams-Thomas, a former child protection expert who's been following the case closely. Oh, so much to talk about, Mark. What about that blood on the wall?
Well, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, having seen what's developed over the last few days, Saturday we had Robert Murat's address being searched. Clearly that had been led by the British review team that had come in and said, look, you need to do one or the other. You need to either charge him with evidence or you need to eliminate him. And then we have yesterday possible finding of blood in the apartment. I mean, what it does...
We must underline it's not necessarily hers,
no,
but there was a blood speck on the wall, and it was found by a British sniffer dog?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the problem with all of this, and you know yourself having gone out there, is there's so much speculation going on, and this is as a result of very little information coming from the police. In the UK, the police would have a media strategy, and they'd be saying, right, we'll release this certain amount of information because it stops speculation, whereas we don't get that with the Portuguese police. Whatever the blood is in the apartment and whoever it belongs to, whether it belongs to Madeleine, whether it belongs to somebody else, this should have been found within the first couple of days. It should have been eliminated. Certainly if it doesn't belong to Madeleine, eliminated who that blood belongs to and enable them to get on with the rest of the inquiry. What we are now is 3 months on, blood being found in an apartment, total and utter cross-contamination of who that possible blood belongs to, and almost starting again.
Something that struck me about the DNA test that they're doing on the glass in Belgium, where would they have had DNA tests from Madeleine previously? How would they make that comparison, whether it was her or not?
They would have analysed what was in the apartment. For example, if she's had her hair brushed, you could get strand fibres from hair and you could get DNA analysis from that. And then you can check the DNA from that across Gerry and Kate. So there's a lot of material that they could have got to check that material. And indeed, they can get DNA from the natural parents to check to see if that's DNA from Madeleine. So the DNA will have there, and I would hope that they would have secured that DNA to be able to check to see if it's hers. But, you know, it's very difficult to guess what the Portuguese police have done.
It's we're talking about Robert Murat and his car being analysed, and then, of course, his house being searched and all that digging going on. So there was some speculation, oh, they're digging up his garden, but your view is that perhaps it wasn't done quite as it should have been the first time.
No, I think we can see that. You know, having gone out to the apartment and seen actually the apartment that Madeleine was from, they missed an incredible amount at those stages. They didn't check to see, well, they didn't take everything out of the apartment. I would have expected to see the shutters taken away. I'd have expected them to be in a good week doing proper close forensic analysis. That didn't take place. We didn't see the fingertip searching outside, and again, that could have led to a lot of evidence being found. And then we go to Murat's address, which was searched some 10 or 11 days afterwards. And that was done very quickly. Within a day, they were in and out. They were searching cars within the address. They didn't take cars away. There's certain forensic analysis you cannot do in an open environment. You need to do it in a laboratory environment. And clearly that didn't take place. And I think what's happened is the British police have come in and reviewed and said, go back to the scene, go as far as Murat's address goes, and go and eliminate it. Go and find out if there's any evidence there at all. And then last night, to see Mrs. Murat driving her car to the police station, if the police wanted that car because it potentially has evidence, they should have gone and seized the car.
You say police from Britain now involved. Do you think they would have been... how would that have happened? What would have happened?
Well, the British police have been involved from day one. Leicestershire police, very early on in the couple of days after the inquiry, were the nominated police force to take the lead in relation to all Madeleine inquiries. And they've been very closely involved from, as I say, from the very early stages. The Portuguese police have been quite reluctant to allow them in to do an awful lot of work for them, whilst that assistance has been offered. It's clear now that they have asked for that assistance to come in, and the review's taking place. Senior investigating officers from the British police, and sadly they've had a lot of experience in recent cases to deal with this. They pull the information together, there's a great amount of resources now, and now they're lending that to the Portuguese police.